today's world, the current situation is people nowadays are having lots of stress, depression, and also difficulty in handling their inner mental reaction. So the question is, what are we doing about this? And what should an organization do to help its employees with mental illness? Join me today in SmartParrot TV's episode where we talk to Puan Anita, the president of MIASA, regarding mental wellness at workplace. Good day, Puan Anita. How are you feeling today?
I'm very well, Darshini. Thank you. How about you?
I'm good, thank you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for joining us today and taking your time off in SmartParrot TV's episode. Before we begin, can you brief me about yourself and also the organization MIASA?
Okay, sure. So I'm Puan Anita. I'm actually the president and founder of MIASA, which is the Mental Illness Awareness and Support Association. So we're basically a peer-led advocacy group. So the majority of people in MIASA are people that are battling, we say, mental health conditions, but we also have people that have mental health issues as well, and also caregivers. So what we do is basically a couple of things. We provide awareness on the importance of mental health, and also we educate people on the many myths or misconceptions out there when we talk about mental illness. And we provide support not only to our peers but also caregivers as well. And we do a lot of advocacy work to fight for the cause of people with mental health conditions and caregivers both.
That's good. That's very good, Puan Anita.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
The term mental wellness, what does it mean to us?
Okay, I think mental wellness, similarly to mental health, which is also actually similar to physical health, where we all have it. But the only difference is we focus a lot of importance on physical health, but not mental health. So mental health is not just about having, a good state of your mental health, but really it's about, how do you contribute to society? How do you interact with your family members? How are you managing your daily routines, your stressors in life? So this is what mental wellness is all about. So if you're able to take care of all these, managing well, that means it doesn't interrupt with your daily routines. That means you have a good state of mental health or mental wellness, we say.
In terms of employee happiness at workplace, what do you think? What do you think is behind employee happiness, and how do we measure it?
Okay, I think there's various things. First, we have to understand that work and life is integrated, right? So if they're happy at home, then they're happy at the workplace. There is a big chance that they will be happy at the workplace. If they're happy in the workplace, there is a big chance they're going to be happy at home. So it must be integrated. You must have that balance. So when we talk about employee happiness, that is one. Two, we talk about having, whether we want to say it or not, is a lot about salary. It's a lot about employee benefits, right?
Yes.
So if your salary is good, if your benefits are good, then of course employees are going to be very happy in the workplace,
True,
right?
true.
Then only comes, performance and output and all that. So that's two. Three, I feel, of course, a healthy work environment with a good management. So if you have that, then it's more of a conducive and happy, healthy working environment. Four, I think it will be in terms of measuring performances as well. I think if we look at, for example, I'll give you an industry just because I came from the industry, which is the banking and investment industry. If you look at that particular industry, the KPIs are really high. Sometimes people say it's probably inhumane in that sense, right? So when KPIs are really, really high, it contributes a lot to employees being stressed out, right? So when employees are really stressed out and KPIs are really high, what happens is they will spend more time at the workplace. When more time is spent at the workplace and it's not compensated well, this is when they're not going to be happy. But if, the salary, the benefits, the perks and everything else matches that stresses, then they're going to be fine. And it then equates to happy at the end of the day. So I think all this is very important, and also having a management that is very supportive, not only in the workplace but also when it comes to your personal life and your health. So for example, in this context, of course, I'm bringing in mental health issues and of course mental health conditions. In Malaysia, what happens a lot is employers are not very well versed in mental health.
Yeah, true.
human resources department are not very well versed in mental health. Colleagues themselves are not very well versed in mental health. So when an employee struggles with mental health issues or mental health conditions in the workplace, this is where they're going to feel very, very they are going to struggle very much in the workplace. They're not going to feel supported. Stigma is very widespread, and that makes health-seeking behavior decrease. That means they're not going to be able to assert their identity. They're not going to be able to reach out for the help because they're scared, because they're embarrassed. They're afraid that it will affect their job employment, right?
Yeah, true.
Because you see, when your mental health issues and mental health condition is not being addressed, then it is going to decrease productivity. There's going to be increase in absenteeism. There's going to be change in behavior. You're going to be more of a moody person in the workplace. People are not going to probably understand, right? And they're going to, not want to be close to you, for example, not going to talk to you. And we live in a culture where we don't really talk about our problems, and we feel very awkward when when people tell us they're not feeling fine, for example. We don't necessarily know how to react.
Yes, true.
And we don't necessarily know how to help. So this becomes more of a challenging situation in the workplace. So I feel that if we continue, for example, to have or to normalize these conversations surrounding mental health, then more people are going to be comfortable, more people are going to feel supported in the workplace, hence it will translate to employees feeling happy, right? So not only salary and benefits and perks and all that, but also feeling supported from the management, colleagues, and of course HR.
Basically everything that
everything plays a big role,
so
really.
What are the serious issues, or how can we identify if a employee or basically a person facing mental illness?
Okay, if we talk about mental illness or mental health conditions in the workplace, there is a couple of ways. First, there must be changes in behavior. Changes in behavior. So, for example, for as long as you know this person, this particular employee, they're fine, they're happy in the workplace, they're able to do, a good job in the workplace, and suddenly there is a change in that behavior. Probably they come to work a little late, or there's more absenteeism, or the person looks a little bit moody, or they don't really want to talk that much in the workplace. They're not as friendly as before. So when you see this change in behavior, then there is probably going to be a big chance that not necessarily mental health condition or mental illness, but mental health issues as well. You see, mental health issues could be, for example, when somebody goes through grief, right? Or you have disturbances in sleep patterns, or you go through difficulties at home, right?
Or when personal issues
and all that. So you can't come to work and be bubbly and all that, right? So not necessarily mental illness, but probably just mental health issues, which still needs to be addressed, needs to be helped, and there must be that safe space for them to reach out for the help as well. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Prananita.
Thank you very much.
Why do you think mental health wellness within employees should be an organization's biggest concern, and what are the effects if they ignore the situation?
Right. Oh, definitely in the workplace. I mean, it's costing, the economic cost of mental health that is not being treated, or billions of dollars, really. Because it comes from when you don't treat the illness, then again, increased of absenteeism, losses of decrease in productivity, people lose their jobs, high turnover rates. High turnover rates is actually a huge cost, because then you have to keep retraining new people and all that, and especially if the person holds, a big position, a very crucial position in that company, and it's not very easy and fast to replace that person. So the economic cost to it is actually huge. And if employers don't address the issue, don't address the issue, then this gives a very negative impact as well to employees that are still with the company, because they're going to feel like, because you see, mental illness, everyone is vulnerable to it, right? If we understand this correctly, we know that each and every person, we are all susceptible to mental illness. We are all vulnerable to mental illness, with whatever that we go through in this life events, maybe traumas, whatever that we go through. So because of this fact, if we do not take care of employees, the people that are left behind in the company, they will feel like, okay, in the future, if I were to get a certain mental health condition or mental health issues, then my employers are not going to be supportive of me, and so you're going to feel demoralized as well. You're going to be affected as well, and as a whole, people are not going to be supportive and happy in the workplace. And I think this plays a very big role. One of the main questions that people have, especially during work interviews, are things like, do you cover insurance? So that's a big chunk of it, and we all know that we will be unwell at some point in our life.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Puan Anita.
Thank you very much.
We have come to the end of episode of Smart Parrot TV. I believe our viewers have gained a lot of useful content from you today regarding mental wellness. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Darshini, for having me. Thank you.